often get the question of what is dead arm? So we have an athlete here who we've been working with for a couple weeks now. We worked with Tommy in the past, and he complained about a little bit of, hey, I'm just not able to generate as much speed as I could before, and it just felt like he didn't quite have the power. Maybe his velocity dipped a little bit. His arm took longer to recover, no real arm pain. But whenever we have that, we're always investigating and asking, does your arm feel like it's dead? Does it feel like it's tired or heavy, fatigued? A good percentage of the time. And a lot of time with these athletes, what we immediately start to notice is deficits in internal rotation range of motion. Because in a second, we're going to talk about why we may actually experience some dead arm at times, but what you'll see here with Tommy is just pathway of least resistance. And we've actually been stretching this. I've stretched it some, he's stretched it some. Pathway of least resistance, he does not get a ton of anterior cranial migration of the humeral head on that left side, but when we go to the right side, he does not have a lot of internal rotation. He gets a lot of migration forward. So then if we take him here, and we actually look at how much internal rotation he has, we see that he's a little tight. Same thing on the other side. If you can see from that camera angle, we see that he gets quite a bit further. So we commonly see that in our dead arm throwing athletes, where they feel like they're getting fatigued quite a bit, and we can just do a little stretching here. Push up in the back of my hand. Relax. Up. So I'm just giving them a little traction, a little down glide with my hand here, just to center them in the socket. A little posterior glide, just centering them in the socket, not really actually gliding it. Push. Relax. Sometimes a little contract, relax works really, really well. Push. Relax. So that's maybe our pre-throwing activity. And whenever we have this, we're always thinking, number one, we're probably loading the rotator cuff too much. Number two, we're probably loading the bicep too much. And especially if an athlete complains about getting sore in the bicep, we really want to investigate how they're decelerating their arm. So we'll always look at hamstring flexibility. Tommy's not too bad. Lift that leg up. And 80 degrees, really we're looking for that 90 to 100, but we're still early in the morning here. So let's see that other side. So not too bad. Really we'd like to see him about here, but you know, not as impaired or decreased as what you see in a lot of athletes. So go ahead and hop up for us, Tommy. Go ahead and just right here, sitting down, internal, external. So we just want to look at what he does here a little bit. How he moves. You'll see some difference in the height. And then we'll actually take him up on the mound and talk about the throwing here. So this is actually Tommy throwing, and we've actually worked on his throw a bit. He's been practicing, working on bringing the ball in. We also want to give congratulations to Tommy Allman here, as well as Orchard Lake St. Mary's. They just recently, this past weekend at the time we're filming this video, won the state title game, and Tommy pitched the state championship game. So big congratulations to them. They were seen as the shoe-in favorite, one of the top in the nation. So congratulations to Orchard Lake St. Mary's High School. But when we look at Tommy's throw here, we notice he likes to bring the ball behind him. Whenever athletes bring the ball behind their body as they begin to rotate, the arm may drag a little bit, which may put excessive tensile loads in the front of the shoulder and compressive loads in the back. What's most important in dead arm, though, is how the athlete loads the rotator cuff, which is loaded in the acceleration phase, but which is also loaded in the deceleration phase. And athletes that are too far behind often end up too far behind as they load their rotator cuff at the end, so the rotator cuff gets overloaded. And the biceps tendon of the long head that comes up actually gets overloaded as well. So a lot of times we talk about hamstring length and decreased internal rotation range of motion, which you've got to assess in all of your athletes that have dead arm, because if they slow their arm down here as opposed to getting their chest forward and slowing their arm down over a greater distance. They load those small, tiny structures that aren't really supposed to be loaded with a great intensity or a great load a lot at the end of the throw. So what we see in these athletes, we actually noticed a little bit in Tommy, and not a lot, but we noticed just a little bit, was a decreased height or elevation of the arm. He was brought too far back and the ball was a little bit too far away. And when you throw hard like Tommy does, it doesn't take a huge deficit to create a little bit of symptomology. So what we've worked on here is actually getting his arm up a little bit higher. So what you need to look at in your athletes is, do they have a shortened deceleration arc where they slow their arm down over a very short distance? They don't get their chest forward, they don't have shoulder internal rotation or horizontal adduction range of motion across the chest. And then secondarily, do they leave their arm behind or rotate a little bit early into their arm in the beginning of the throw? So just go ahead and keep warming up here. And you can see that that's one of the things that Tommy's working on a little bit just as he warms up here, as compared to leaving his arm down and staying straight up and down in the follow through of his throw. A lot of times, just by improving range of motion and internal rotation and hamstring flexibility, you can drastically alter what the athlete feels and how well they're able to recover. If you like the video, hit the thumbs up. We'll see you guys in the next one. Actually, it looks a lot better.